What's up? This is the College Investor Audio Show. Hope your day has been fantastic so far. And if you just are wondering about PSLF, Public Service Loan Forgiveness, that whole program, today is your show as we're talking about that today. And if you want to find out more about anything we talk about, you can always dive deep on every single subject and topic from the podcast and more at thecollegeinvestor.com. You can also just follow us, like us, hashtag, all that kind of stuff at The College Investor. You're going to find us pretty much anywhere you are on social media. We're there too. We'd love to get to know you, answer any questions you might have. All right, let's dive into this. So which payments and periods actually count toward PSLF and the buyback option? So understanding which payments do count toward Public Service Loan Forgiveness or PSLF and how the buyback option works can be really confusing. So here's what you need to know. Eligible deferments and forbearances. Let's dive into this one first. Originally, deferments and forbearances didn't count toward the 120 qualifying payments required for PSLF. Just a quick example, the economic hardship deferment counted toward the 20 or 25-year forgiveness in an income-driven repayment plan, but not public service loan forgiveness. That changed with the publication of new regulations on November 1st, 2022, which expanded the set of qualifying periods. After these changes, the regulations specified that certain deferments and forbearances do count toward PSLF if they occurred while the borrower was working full-time for a qualifying employer. These deferments and forbearances include things like cancer treatment deferment, economic hardship, AmeriCorps forbearance, mandatory administrative forbearances provided for collecting supporting documentation, and then certain deferments and forbearances for service to your country, for instance. Payments that were suspended during the pandemic's student loan payment pause and interest waiver from March 2020 to September 2023, wow, over 3 years, crazy, do count as qualifying payments if the borrower was otherwise working full-time in a qualifying employment. Very interesting. The payment count adjustment made additional deferments and forbearances eligible as well, like all deferments prior to 2013, except for in-school and grace periods. Starting in 2013, all of the deferments listed that we talked about before, and adjustments due to alleged forbearance steering, such as 12 or more consecutive months of forbearance and 36 or more cumulative months of forbearance. That can be kind of confusing to list out like that, so please feel free to dive into this article or ask questions on social media. Just search for The College Investor. All right, so other deferments and forbearances will actually qualify for the PSLF buyback program if the borrower was working full-time in qualifying employment at the time of the deferment and forbearance. Let's talk about that buyback program. So the PSLF buyback program allows borrowers to make retroactive payments for specific ineligible deferment or forbearance periods where they had qualifying employment, which enables them to reach the 120 qualifying payment threshold. This can include general forbearances that didn't qualify for the payment count, as well as the unemployment deferment. There are several requirements for the buyback program. You got to have qualifying employment, you got to have employment certification, and you got to use the PSLF help tool too to do that, and we have a link to that inside this article at thecollegeinvestor.com. You got to have proximity to forgiveness. So the buyback option is available only to borrowers who, by using it, are going to reach the 120 qualifying payment requirement for the forgiveness program, or temporary expanded PSLF. And thereby, you do qualify for forgiveness. It's intended just kind of for those close to the finish line. Payment due periods as well, only months during which a payment was due, can be bought back. Payment amount, the borrower has to make a lump sum payment equal to at least what their monthly payments would have been under a qualifying repayment plan at the time of the qualifying employment, and begs the question, what's qualifying employment? Why do you keep saying that over and over? So qualifying employment encompasses working full-time for U.S. federal, state, local, county, or tribal government, or a nonprofit 501c3 organization. U.S. military service does qualify, and full-time AmeriCorps or Peace Corps volunteer service also qualifies. Working for for-profit organizations or government contractors, or the borrower's not actually directly employed by the government agency, labor unions and partisan political organizations, oh no, you ain't gonna qualify. So which loans are eligible? Common question. Qualifying payments must have been made on or after October 1st, 2007 on eligible federal direct loans. Federal Family Education Loans, or FFEL, Perkins loans, private student loans, no, not going to be eligible. However, FFEL loans and Perkins can become eligible if consolidated into a federal direct consolidation loan. Federal Parent Plus loans are eligible for PSLF but not TEPSLF under standard 10-year repayment or an income-driven repayment plan. Parent Plus loans are not directly eligible for an income-driven repayment plan, but they might become eligible for ICR if included in a federal direct consolidation loan. You got to put everything into that federal direct thingy. Here are some limitations to the buyback program. It's kind of important to understand the limitations on this thing. One is qualifying employment is mandatory. Borrowers cannot buy back months for which they did not qualify with qualifying employment. 10-year employment requirement. You got to have worked in qualifying employment for at least the equivalent of 10 years, 120 months. 90-day payment deadline. The requirement lump sum payment must be made within a strict 90-day deadline after the buyback is approved. So who benefits from this PSLF buyback program? The PSLF buyback program is most beneficial for borrowers who are already very close to reaching 120 qualifying payments and have a few months of ineligible deferment or forbearance holding them back. They're typically kind of eager to achieve forgiveness right now. They might fear that their eligibility for PSLF may be repealed. Some borrowers might find it financially advantageous if their income was lower during the period they're buying back. The lump sum payment is based on their past income, potentially resulting in a lower cost compared to current IDR payments if their income has gone up, of course. And another thing, too, borrowers who were in certain forbearance statuses, like the interest-free forbearance under the SAVE plan since July 2024, might find the buyback option kind of useful for prior ineligible periods. This lets them kind of catch up during periods when they were unable to switch into a different income-driven repayment plan. Quick note here that the lump sum payment is capped at the amount needed to reach 120 qualifying payments, which kind of prevents borrowers from strategically buying back lower-cost months to seek a refund on previously made higher-cost qualifying payments. A lot to dig into, a lot of confusing jargon. You can find out everything you need to know at thecollegeinvestor.com on PSLF and PSLF buyback programs. Please ask us questions, anything you were confused about, at The College Investor. Search for that. You'll find us pretty much anywhere you are. And thanks again for stopping by today. We'll talk to you again real soon.